Alright guys, today we're taking a look at the best combo with the Moto Gloves POW. They are one of the most sort of unique, interesting pair of gloves in the game, and we are going to be using them in minimal wear as the price in here, which is $635. Now, the first knife that I'm going to be showcasing with them is a Talon Rust Coat. Now, this is a battle scarred version, which is $425. I went for around the 0.7 area, so you should be able to get it without much overpay, and it means that the brown on the knife itself pairs them pretty well with the browns we get on the gloves. Now, we are going to be using Lieutenant Commander Rixoff for $25. Keeps going up in price as our CT agent, and I will get into the other two knife options now. So if you want something that's a little bit more flashy but unique, I think going for a Stiletto Fade is a good shout here. It does have the brown on the handle, which actually goes like hand in hand with the brown on the knuckle. It kind of bleeds from the knuckle into the handle. Now I think the silver element into that sort of like orangey color at the bottom of the fade, it's a very unique combination. It is an almost $900 knife, and more than double what the Talon cost is. If you are after something a bit different that works, 100% you should be considering this. And then the really left field option is a ruby. Now, this is one that I can see where it comes from, because there is that like strip along the gloves, which is like a pinkish red. And people like running rubies with them. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to show three different knives. I have to showcase a ruby. This is just shy of $1,400, however. So for me, ruby gives you a bit of flash, but I do think that rust coat is just the best play. Then when it comes to the USP, I am actually going to use the Desert Tactical. Very rarely will I get to suggest this as a weapon skin, but I think here for 25 cents, it works pretty well. The USPs are actually kind of limiting when it comes to like budget-friendly, good orange items. And that's why I think a P2000 Sure Grip could actually be considered. It is even cheaper at 10 cents. I use a P2K at the minute. I've been using a P2K for the last few weeks. I always mix between it and the USP, but if you're a P2K enjoyer or you want to try it out, this skin with these gloves, I think is really nice. And the joys with the gloves themselves being a bit more unique means we actually get some more unique options for the weapon skins, like a Red Rock coming in here at $19 minimum wear. A decent amount to pay for the P250, but at least you are going to use the same skin on both T side and CT side, so you get away with spending a little bit more, I think. Overall though, I think this color-wise, really nice with the gloves. And while at a budget level, yes, you could go get a Corinthian and enjoy that. I like getting a Fennec Fox here. Now, this is a field tested version, specifically taking the souvenir pricing, but I've not had stickers on it, so you can see the full artwork. This is an orange and red skin. We got orange and we got brown with sort of like pinky red accents on the glove. So overall, this for me is a very good combination. If you are trying to trim it back and save some money, obviously the Corinthian is a good budget Desert Eagle to look at. Then on the Joe Berettas, I landed on the Tread. They're like $1.70 minimal wear. They're not going to break the bank too much, and I looked at like 6 or 7 different options, and ultimately this is what I found to be the best with them. Hopefully we see something in the future that might pair a little bit better. With that said though, a combo I love here is the Retribution 5.7. The colors aren't quite one for one, but they're pretty damn close for CS. Like the palm colors of the POW gloves into the base color of this, it's got those, basically that pinky red, it's got the orange, it's got the brown. This 5.7 is perfect with these gloves. Over in the MP9 side of things, nothing really sort of was my cup of tea. I looked at so many options, and I landed on a Battle Scarred Starlight Protector because it gets this sort of bronzy brown effect, which I think when you're using it in idle, I think it looks good here. Like, it looks solid enough that we can claim it as being a strong combo, especially when everything else lacks. And then there's some easy cheap wins. I feel like the Urban Hazard here in minimal wear. I think the orange that's on this is very similar to the orange of the gloves, and then the rest is like a grey camel pattern, so it just sort of blends in anyway. It's sort of like a neutral option. And then what I think is absolutely slept on is the KO factor with these gloves. So there's not a crazy amount of orange and brown on these, but there is some. But the other thing here is it's KO Factory sort of comic book style artwork, and obviously the POW gloves themselves have POW and Crack and all this comic book style stuff on them. So I really like how that sort of ties together the theme. And my next image choice was the Tech Loot Burner. It's a $1.80 in field test. The higher float this goes, the more the color changes. I went for 0.25 field test. It gets the change that I want on it, and I think the orange is pretty damn close to what we get on the gloves. And we do get to go at least cheap and cheerful on the Mag 7 because the Foresight is 7 cents in minimal wear, and you know, it's just one of those ones. It does the job, it doesn't break the bank. We love to have that as an option. And then we get onto the M31S, where this is the only one I've got 3 options for. And the first one is sort of similar discussion I had with the UMP there, the Player 2. Just shy of $54, so still a reasonable price for a nice artwork minimal wear skin. It's orange, it's got blue, which is a complementary color of orange, which we love to see, and again, comic book style. So I've just listed many reasons as to why this is the best combination with these gloves, and I'm going to stand by that. I think this is the right choice to go for. And I say all that even though some people might want the atomic alloy instead, because maybe the brown and the orange is deemed better overall color-wise, but I do think having that complementary color in there on the player too, and it being comic book theme is just like such a big win to have. And speaking of the complementary colors, the other thing you could try to do, now I have generated pattern 277 on random here, there are better options. This is a like orange pattern for the Solitude, and this is it in factory new. I don't have pricing for the exact pattern, but just to showcase, what you get here is orange sort of sun coming through, and I think because you get the white clouds, you can get orange on the suppressor. Just to detail what I'm talking about here is, I was looking at 277, which is listed here, because I was expecting something kind of like this, where you got a bit more orange in through here, and orange on the suppressor. I will link this full guide in the video, in the description down below, so if you want to look through, you can see there's an absolute bloody ton of stuff in here. You can go have a look. A skin I really like with these gloves though is the M4A4 Turbine. Had a little spike in price because people saw that the case was being removed and whatnot, but I like that it lights up orange as you shoot, so that's obviously a nice touch as well. But it is kind of like this weird dusty red brownie color on the skin, like a really unique color, which I think with what these gloves have with the mix of color, you can then get away with it. And my god, I finally have a pair of gloves that I can happily suggest the boom with. Now, this is a $155 op in minimum wear. Also, look, CS in the update have sort of glitched it, so you now see these orange lines down the barrel. Slade pointed this out in the video I watched of his today. The recent update has changed to have these lines in them. I don't know if it's going to stay, but I think with the boom, it makes it look really fucking nice. But obviously, again, comic book style, the color of orange is so close. And this is actually a time where I think not having scope design, and I've probably said otherwise in the past, not having scope design here, that full black scope is crying out for an orange sticker on it, and it's going to be really nice here. And I'm able to get back onto my Eye of Athena sort of agenda, if you want to call it that. $8.40 for this in minimal wear. It's going to scuff a little bit, but as I always say, there's also grey feathers on this, so the grey scuffs can actually kind of blend in nicely, and color-wise, this is so damn good with these gloves. And then I hope you like using the Scout, because we're going to spend a decent chunk of money here, over $21 to go and get a Dragonfire. However, this is, I'm going to say, definitely a top 3 Scout skin, so like that's kind of just nice in general. And for maybe the first time ever, I have 2 T-side agents to talk about, and they don't cost an absolute bomb. This is Dragomir from the Saber side of things. He is $14. Now, you might like the red accents on the sleeves here because of that pinky reddy strip, and then you got the brown sleeve. So this can work really well together. The alternative, I think, is what I might prefer myself, and that is Black Wolf, also from the Saber collection, only $2 more. So for me, I like the sleeves being just that one color, and then into the gloves. Let the gloves do the speaking. But if you like that pinky red accent, and that's the one I'm actually going to price for, then maybe you want to go for Dragomir. Like, outside of the MP9, I think the Glock might be the only other area where I kind of struggled for a strong suggestion. I ended up with the Royal Legion because it's got that orangey brown handle, and I think that sort of neutral top can make it work here. And then the red quartz is such a good win here. It is under $50 for factory new, and the color is so damn close to what you get on the glove. So it was a surprising win when I saw this one in the server for the first time. And it's always a good time when I get to suggest my favorite Mac 10 skin in the game, the Allure. 60 cents for this in minimal wear. What I like here is you get those orange accent colors and you get that creamy white, which are both on the gloves. And even more so with the Agent now, with that red on the sleeves, actually pairs in with the red on the Mac 10. So this is a very, very complete pairing. And the alternative would be going for a last dive in minimal wear and spending an extra $2 on top. And you want to go for not this exact pattern, I've generated a random pattern, but a pattern that has as much of the orange color on it as possible. But I do think you still want some of the teal coming through nicely. It's a nice little complement on things, and it gets you some artwork too. Then the P90, we are going to have the Vent Rush. Now, I've had some people before say they dislike this skin. I can kind of see why. It looks very unique. However, with these gloves and the amount of orange it has on it and the fact it actually gets some lighting effects, I think for 60 cents is pretty solid. As I've been using the sawed-off more recently, I do want to suggest one. In this case, it's the Kraken, which is almost $7, which if you're not a sawed-off enjoyer, obviously just remove this from the budget. Don't worry about that side of spend. Then we have 3 easy rifle choices to end it off. So we're going to have the Gail Control in minimal wear, under $1 for this now, and it works wonders with these gloves. That sort of, the off-white color is a little bit different, but then you've got that orangey brown on it. Even got the red strip through it as well, and obviously you've got that little bit of reddy pinkiness in there, so it hits everything for us. And it might seem weird to spend so little on the AK when we spend big on the Desert Eagle, for example, but when the best option is under $10 in minimal wear, we're going to take that. I'm going for the Serum Rage, mainly because it has the colors there, and the artwork style is close enough to the comic style. Like, I think the graffiti and the comic stuff, you can kind of sort of layer in together when the options are lacking, so this is going to be my go-to AK for these gloves. And then we get the joy of rounding it off with the Tiger Moth, which is $1.45 in field tested. Also, the pricing for this, like minimal wear and faction use, got really weird, so I would focus it on field tested. Now, the thing here is, how much do these loadouts cost? So, if you went for the Talon Rust Coat, which I think is the best play to do, because you got the ivory handle, which plays in with the off-white, you got the brown, which looks so good, just over by $2, $1,600. A really nice price to pay to get minimal wear gloves, a knife that pairs so well, and ultimately, like, a nice unique loadout all around it. And there are upgrade paths on the knife, which I showcased. For example, the Stiletto Fade, if you went for this, you are going to jump up to $2,067. So a decent, like, almost $400 rise on the loadout cost to go to the Stiletto Fade. Is it worth it? That's up to you. And then, as I was saying, you can also go for a Ruby. I went for the Paracord for a slightly more affordable option. It's over $2,500. So for me, I do think the value for money side of things still starts to drop a bit here. But if you like it with the gloves, then by all means, especially the T agent having the red accents on the sleeves, I think adds to the argument a little bit more as to why you might want to consider this. But there we go. That is the best combo with the POW gloves as of September 2025. There is a new case and collection looming, so I'm sure there will be some items in that might work well with this, but I can only cover what's in the game right now. I want to say a big thank you to the YouTube members for always and continuing to support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed this one, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button around here. We're trying to hit 10K before the end of the year, so all that support is greatly appreciated. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.